So this story is not even remotely a shock, but it's actually pretty interesting nonetheless. And so this headline reads, Former Trump officials find tough job market. Now this is really fascinating and interesting because this was so inevitable, right? So the people who were part of the Trump administration, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Sean Spicer, Kayleigh McEnany, these people, they all sort of destroyed their own reputation and sort of floored the gas pedal to get as much as they could from that Trump grift, essentially. But the question is, what the hell is your long-term plan here? Who's going to employ you? Who's going to want to work with you? Who's going to want to associate with you? This is really stupid. Kind of reminds me of when Nino House really floored the gas pedal on the Tulsa Gabbard campaign, right? Like completely destroys all of his credibility, and you're thinking Tulsa's going to pull like maybe 1% of the vote, max. If that, probably not even that. What the fuck is your plan here, dude? She's obviously not, gonna be this big forever. You're just gonna be making Tulsa Gabbard videos 24/7 for the rest of your life? It's so dumb. I don't understand what the thought process of these people is. It says, corporate America is showing no signs of rushing to snatch up the vast majority of high-level Trump officials. Prominent figures from the Trump era were already facing tough job prospects at the end of 2020. But top U.S. companies have further distanced themselves from Republicans following the deadly mob attack on the Capitol earlier this month. Several ex-officials have secured employment at right-leaning think tanks and conservative organizations, instead of landing plum jobs as corporate executives or board members, while others, such as former White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow, are returning to their previous line of work on cable news. Experts say the range of employment opportunities for former Trump aides is increasingly limited, with many companies mindful of the potential for the consumer, employee, or shareholder backlash if they extend a job offer to a divisive figure. Quote, I do think a lot of these people are going to have to go to friends and family, because that's where they're going to be hired. Not everyone, but I think the more political you are, that might be your only option at the moment, says Ivan Adler, president of Ivan Adler Associates, a lobbyist recruitment firm. So these kinds of jobs coming from, lobbyist businesses, as you guys know, there's a lot of people who are in government. They serve their term and then they go serve as a lobbyist at some lobbying firm. Recall what happened with John Boehner. I think he's at a weed firm right now as a lobbyist. So that's just one of the ways that kind of the revolving door of sort of corruption works that we would love to close. It would be amazing to close that. No federal or any government official should be allowed to be a lobbyist at any point after or during their career. So that's something that certainly should happen. So several top Trump officials have landed jobs, though not at the kinds of high-profile places where many Obama alumni ended up. I think Fortune 500 companies are going to be extra careful about bringing on board folks from the recent administration, one recruiter said. Especially now that everyone has sort of hit pause on corporate giving, I think everyone is super sensitive not to seem like they're signaling something that they don't intend to by hiring someone who's recently exited. So basically, it's a combination of stuff, right? There were already going to be some issues even prior to the U.S. Capitol stuff, even prior to the George Floyd stuff, even prior to the COVID stuff. There were still going to be a lot of troubles because of all of the controversies around Donald Trump. But with COVID and his response, that destroys a lot of Trump's credibility even further, thereby destroying all of his minions' credibility. Then you have the George Floyd stuff. And then the U.S. Capitol was really just sort of, that was the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of stuff, right? People do not want to associate with that. It's going to damage their reputations, companies' reputations, their profits, things of that nature. And so that's essentially what makes it hard for them to find, but definitely pretty interesting.